Hello again, YouTubers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm your host, the Board Game Captain, and today I'm going to be reviewing and talking about a new format, or newer format, for Magic the Gathering called Magic the Gathering Commander. Now, first I want to briefly talk about a little history I have with Magic the Gathering. So, when I was in middle school, I was at my local comic shop and I saw two guys that I knew, one who worked there and another who was another person who used to hang out at the comic book shop, playing Magic the Gathering for the first time. Now, to give you kind of an idea here, we're talking about the early to mid 90s when I saw this. It was the first collectible card game. There were no others yet. I'd never seen anything like it. And it blew my mind at the time. I was like, what is this? How can I get it? I need to play this game. I got into it, I got my brother into it, I got everybody I knew into it. We all spent ridiculous amounts of lawn mowing money on it. It was insane. It absorbed a portion of our life for years and years to come. But eventually, with all of the expansions and constantly having to keep up with the expansions and constantly having to keep up with the new combos and the new power curve, it eventually got a bit bloated and eventually got to the point where we realized it was probably absorbing too much of our time, and one by one we each sort of stopped playing. Now that took years and years to happen, and we played literally hundreds and hundreds of games of Magic the Gathering before we got to that point. But I stopped playing, I sold off my collection, which at that time was unbelievable numbers of cards, and I moved away from it. I moved more towards self-contained games, things like board games and non-collectible card games. And that's where I've been most of the time ever since. But you know what? There is a bit of a nostalgia effect with Magic the Gathering for me. When I walk into the board game store and I see Magic the Gathering sitting there, I look over it and I think about all the cool decks I used to have and all the cool combos I used to do and all the fun I used to have playing it. But I would never get back into collecting it again because I don't want a single game that absorbs that much of my life. I don't have the time anymore to collect Magic the Gathering cards. So then, recently, I heard about this new format they were doing called Magic the Gathering Commander, where it's meant to be a more casual format. Everyone plays with a 100 card deck, and you cannot play with any duplicates of any other cards in the deck with the exception of basic lands. So right there I was intrigued. I said, wow, you can't focus the deck around some crazy combos. You can't be uber cutthroat competitive with it. It sounds more like old school Magic the Gathering fun back when I started in revised edition when I was in middle school. So I thought, well, let me take a look at this. Let me check it out. So I picked up a couple of sets and Lynn and I played a few games with it. And it's pretty interesting. So there's a few differences other than that as well. One is that you have 30 life instead of 20. Another of the main differences, and this is the most interesting difference, is for making your deck, you first have to pick a commander. So this is my commander for my deck. It came in the pre-construct Magic the Gathering commander deck, though I did alter my deck a little bit with some other cards I got. And she is Saskia the Unyielding. Now, Saskia the Unyielding is a legendary creature, and your commander has to be a legendary creature, and she is the colors black, red, green, and white. Now, when making your deck, you must use and can only use the colors of your commander. So in this case, I have a 4-color deck where no card in the deck is duplicated. Every card is unique except for basic lands, and it's 100 cards big. So this game plays like a much more casual version of Magic the Gathering. It still feels like Magic the Gathering, but it feels like it used to back in Revised, where people didn't win because of crazy combos that broke the game and shut everything down. They won by playing creatures and having them attack and doing some damage to their opponent. So in that regard, this game kind of perfectly scratches my nostalgia itch for Magic the Gathering, which I'll never get back into as a collectible card game, but just picking up this and a handful of cards to alter the deck a little bit, I'll pull this out once in a while and I will play this. So I'm not going to be rating or reviewing Magic the Gathering as a whole. I'm only talking about Commander here. And for Commander, for me, I give it a 7 out of 10 stars. And the reason for that is, once in a while, I feel like playing an old school game that I have a lot of fond memories playing in the school cafeteria or at the comic book shop on weekends, and this scratches that itch for me. It's not bad. It's pretty good. I enjoy it. It definitely fixes a lot of the problems that I was starting to have with Magic the Gathering right before I quit playing Magic the Gathering. So there you have it. But let's get a second opinion from Lynn. Lynn, how many stars out of 10 would you give to Magic the Gathering Commander?
6.
So Lynn gave it 6 out of 10 stars, one less than me. She did have fun playing a few games of it, but she feels that she needs to really be in the mood to play Magic the Gathering these days. And I understand that. Again, this is a game that we played a lot of. When I first met Lynn and we were first friends and then first dating, we used to play Magic the Gathering almost daily back then. So we did kind of play it out years and years and years ago. But that being said, now and again, when I'm in the mood for a little old school Magic the Gathering fun, I'm going to pull this out and I'm going to play a game of Magic the Gathering Commander. There you have it. 7 out of 10 stars from me, 6 out of 10 stars from Lynn. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please give it a thumb up. Share this video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Kaptain on YouTube. That's Captain spelt with a K. Now, do you have any questions, comments, or concerns about either this format of Magic the Gathering, Commander, or about this video? Please put them in the comments down below, and until next time, game on.